let's lay out what can we expect to happen in 2024. What do we hope to happen? What is in our business plan to make happen in the documentary, the movie, the movement? And so let's even hear from each of the guests, and it could even be repeated of what we've said before, but let's focus on what do we believe, want, hope to, or working for to happen next year. And you can focus on your own business area and then also what you hope to happen from this documentary. I'm going to start with, we have a new producer, Brian Nitto, and he is producer-director. He has taken over this project in the last few months. Amazing work, pro bono, just really sunk his whole mind, heart, body into it for the chance to do it. We will put him on a retainer next year. We will be working with investors, philanthropists. We are doing that now. We will put out a document in January of helping us find some investors and philanthropists. But Brian Nitto is in New Jersey, experienced with television and film. He will position us to present this to Netflix. So we have at least one place that we know it will be presented and what will be presented. The second landing spot is we are looking to produce episode 1 of a 3-part series in the first quarter. We have most of the recordings done. We will add some new recordings. And we will partner with Centenary University, the film school, to do some of that recording as well. So first quarter, we're looking to have episode 1.
We're going to have a almost front page story next year. I don't know what it will be about. It will definitely have some connection with spirituality, but I think we're getting the team, we're getting the ideas, we're getting some solutions to a point where it needs to break way out in the public and have people say, oh, what is this?
And so my vision for next year is to start to take a step towards doing developmental workshops to train people, to get them to understand what I'm doing from a new paradigm, and hopefully even to start training them in what I'm doing in a way that they can safely help people that they love. Or people can help themselves if they've been diagnosed, this sort of thing. And part of that workshop is in explaining how, as a society, we do move from paradigm to paradigm. And it's not necessarily that the old psychiatric paradigm is just wrong, garbage, it's a big mistake. No, there's a reason that it was there. There's a reason why it developed, and it still has gifts to give, our society. But that there is an evolution taking place, and an evolution of consciousness.
For 2024, what I envision is to partner with more psychiatric people, from therapists, psychologists, and also ketamine centers that we have in the Chicagoland area. What is happening is after they have their ketamine experience, or if someone went to Costa Rica, they don't have to have ayahuasca experience. They don't have anyone that can walk them through that 3-month transition. So that's what I have been trying to partner with. So I've been reaching out to a lot of different practices about that, and also letting them know what I do, and from both a spiritual perspective and from a clinical perspective. If they have clients who have been depressed for a long time, or they are being diagnosed with bipolar or even possibly DID, to help them find a way to integrate so they can live on a day-to-day basis. This doesn't have to be a diagnosis that shuts you down and you can't function. This is actually a calling, and let's see what we can do about it. So that's what I'm envisioning for 2020.
On a personal level, I'm hoping to get involved with the college that I went to, the College of Charleston, and hopefully open or start a peer support kind of oriented service. I was pretty dissatisfied by our college's counseling services. When I went to them multiple times, they turned me away and said, we don't know how to help you, and that's not really what you want to hear, it makes you feel more broken. And there's a lot of power in peer support and peer advocacy. So I think, trying to see what we can do on our local colleges, like you were saying, branch out, try to see what we can do in terms of peer support and people with lived experience, stepping up to be the voices of, helping others with their own lived experience, which is a difficult task, by all means. But, I think that would be a really good focus point, is focusing on colleges where, a lot of students do struggle with mental health, and a lot of big reason for them to drop out of college is mental health, so education focus would be a really good place to start. And also, I think just in terms of our documentary, looking at making sure that, what we're doing is in solidarity.
To encourage everyone here to document everything that you're going through, because it adds validity. When you have an idea, it's an idea, but when you put it on paper, that idea becomes your personal intellectual property, right? And it's also, so it's beautiful that way, but it also shows that progress, which is so incredibly important to demonstrate. And then the other thing that I would just add real quick, if I could, is in response to Janet's question about what I'd like to see globally as well as locally, is for us to turn to documents that are liberating, equalizing, and really unifying, like the UN's UDHR document, which is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Also the WHO's what is it called? The Equality Rights Toolkit. These are the kind of documents that I believe all people from every walk of life should be familiarizing themselves with, whether or not you are in the mental health care industry itself or not, but rather than leaning on these constructed labels and this formulated umbrella kind of experience, of bipolarity, which basically has everything but the kitchen sink thrown under it. It does not look at physical conditions. It doesn't look at different things like your diet and thyroid issues and all of that, your exercise level, etc. But instead of looking to the DSM, looking to documents like that, where we are really understanding our inalienable rights. And I know for a fact that is a God-given experience, that God wants to liberate us and equalize us. And God has us on a trajectory of evolution that includes everyone. And as Brett was speaking, I was thinking also about the fact that I've worked so much with our houseless population. And I know that there's been a lot of work at Rutgers in defining the difference between psychosis and what a spiritual awakening would entail. And I've read quite a bit of that research. Thank you, Janet, for sending that to me. It's a fantastic start. It's a door opener. But to me, it falls very, very short because it's not inclusive. And what it does, it sets us up for judging others in a horrific way that can absolutely stigmatize and continue to thwart the spiritual progress for thousands, if not millions of people.
One of the things, Laura, that you made me think of is one of the focuses of my research is really looking at challenging the notion that people who disagree with their pathological label lack insight or in denial if they don't agree, right? So I think one of the most important things for me to sort of get across through the use of this docuseries is that there's something to be said for honoring somebody's inherent wisdom, right? And what they believe their experience to be. And oftentimes, some people do know what they're going through and understand it to be spiritual. They have the requisite knowledge, right? For others, they may not, and it may be completely overwhelming and terrifying. But if they're given permission to speak honestly about their experience, more often than not, there's a spiritual component there, right? That maybe often doesn't get spoken about because they don't feel that they're in a safe place to express that. Where if they do, they'll get shut down and be told, oh no, that's psychosis, right? Because a lot of the times, because there is no spiritual competency within the mental health system, and there is no spiritual framework for understanding these experiences, if you go into a hospital saying having a spiritual experience, more often than not, they're going to translate that as being psychosis, right? So I think it's really important to understand that people do have some inkling, some wisdom, some intuition of what's occurring for them.
Okay.
One thing that hasn't come up much in this conversation, because there's been a lot of focus, as appropriate, on our legal challenges and also on the documentary and things like that. Legal challenges and the systemic challenges that everybody's working on. When it's time, when the Holy Spirit moves and it's time for the movie, one of the things that some of you may not be aware of if you haven't seen the script or know enough about Janet's story is that it has a lot of humor in it. Because Janet, because she was so aware of what was going on, she knew how to handle the people in the institution so she could get out in time for Christmas. And it has it's a very winsome. There are very winsome scenes that will come up. So it's not some sort of diatribe about you people don't understand and you need to get it straight. It will be a story that people can relate to more easily, and even if they haven't had a traumatic spiritual experience and things like that. So it doesn't have to happen in 24. I'm just saying I'm looking forward to that element as we talk about all of these things that will raise awareness in the world, and that will be I don't know how, it might be a comedy drama. I don't know.
Forward this agenda that we need to get this conversation had, and the stories that need to be shared need to be told, I feel, quickly, because not that we're running out of time, but for so long we've just been carrying on with the rhetoric of the fact that when you go into a mental health institution, you're medicated without your consent, and either it results in a negative outcome, or if you're lucky, you're okay. But we can't continue with this, because there are millions of people across the world who are being medicated against their will, and we're talking about it. Change needs to happen. So for me to go and fly and obviously present and talk to you, I'd love to be there tomorrow if I could. But I'm still studying. I've got my exams to complete, so we pushed it to August because my exams are finishing in July. Otherwise, I would love to be there sooner. But yeah, I just feel this urgency that we don't really have this time to keep talking. We need to take action. And it's my impatience as well, because obviously I've lost my father. I've got a family member who's still struggling with their health, and it's not looking good. And I just keep seeing there's so many stories of people struggling out there, and we just need to do something.